And there we are. Life. All right. Even though we probably won't have a huge audience for this live show, Sarah and I said we have to talk about things. So once everybody else is at the point where we are with the series in our Green Rider Readalong, we're hoping you're listening to this and share your opinions about book 6 and 7 of the Green Rider series. So welcome. Hello, everyone. This is the last live show of the Green Rider Readalong because, I mean, that's it. Those are all the books that are published. So we won't have any live shows anymore talking about the books. Maybe others, generally about the Green Rider show. We'll see. But not about the books themselves. So I'm really excited because for both Sarah and I, this was just the second time, weird, for a book that came out last year, it was just the second time that we read it. So we actually haven't talked much about it. And there were a lot of things where we both sit there and it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, well, we have to talk about it. But before we go into Winterlight, I'm getting ahead of myself. We wanted to talk a little bit about Firebrand. And in today's video, it will be all spoilers because we're so far into the series that we thought spoiler-free doesn't really make sense anymore because everything is a spoiler at this point. So we're starting with, there we go, Firebrand spoilers. And just jumping into book 6 of the series, and then a bit later in the video into book 7, which is Winterlight. That sounds like a very confused plan for something very simple. All right, book 6, Firebrand. I have the gorgeous UK cover here, and Sarah's showing the nice chunker. Those are some chunky books. I mean, book 6 and 7, it's nuts how much.
I think like it's like the biggest book like physically I own. Like it's so big.
Oh, do you have the UK version of Brandon Sanderson's stuff?
No, but they use thinner pages, so they're not as big. Like,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
More pages, but not as ginormous. Yeah, Winterlight is I mean, you could kill someone with that book. It's ridiculous. Yeah. All right, Firebrand. I always describe it as the start of the really dark era of the Green Rider.
Yes.
Yeah, it just becomes incredibly dark with, I mean, Nyssa is the big part in the series, right? In book 6, I find. Yeah. When I read through it this time, I felt like there's actually a lot of stuff that happens, but not at the same time. It's a very short time period where Firebrand is happening. And then it's one specific setting where everything is happening. Like when they're in the forest and then get kidnapped by Second Empire, find Zachary, also in the hands of Second Empire. Like that part of the story, I know that's just the second half of the book, but that part of the story feels like that's the thing.
Yes, I was thinking about that as well because I was trying to like think like what happened at the beginning. Like I feel like I say that about all of these books is like what happened at the beginning. I just remember like the main thing that happens in the second half. But yeah, that forest definitely is like the main part of this book.
Yeah, and with that, all the darkness that comes with it. Yeah, Second Empire definitely took it up a notch by adding Nyssa, the torturer, to that whole. I mean, this woman is just. I like how she's written, which sounds very morbid. I really like her as a character. I think she is so interesting because she is just bad to the core, and she just loves the whole torturing stuff. But I mean, what she does to poor Kerrigan is just like. You started as a YA book with a cute little adventure, and now you're ripping Kerrigan apart, literally.
Yeah.
What's happened? What happened?
At least one thing I noticed this time is they don't really go into what happened to Zachary, like how he was tortured too much. Like he doesn't like remember what happened, so I was like, okay, good. At least we just only get to see the one torture scene and not like multiple.
Yeah. We didn't know that you're saying that. That's actually pretty interesting because we see with Kerrigan how she deals with that PSD of the being tortured, whereas Zachary doesn't really have that at all.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Another thing for Winterlight. Yeah, now that okay, book 6, it all started with the snowstorm, right? That we have the sleigh coming in that wants to take Estora and then ends up taking Zachary into his little cave. That's one of the storylines. Oh, and the Griffins. How can I forget the Griffins? That was the other story on the wall. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's fascinating that how Firebrand is in particular like this. You're like, okay, you remember that one story at the end of the day, at the end of the book, but everything else is kind of like, oh, what happened again? That's not as bad with the other books, I find.
Yeah.
Firebrand is more because it's so, I don't know, such a big thing that happens at the end where like, okay, everything else is irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Griffin is on the cover, so.
I feel like it like, what were they doing on their way to the forest? Like, because they definitely started at the castle and like journeyed to the forest, but it like felt like.
Oh, they were looking for the Pedros, wasn't that it? That what's her name? Not Estora, the Kerrigan's friend, Kerrigan's best friend, Estral.
Yeah. So I just flipped, and on page 209, they hadn't even left the castle yet. I don't know what they were doing for those first 200 pages, but
I'm trying to remember. What was the snowstorm before they left? It must have been, right? No, was it? I don't know. No, Kerrigan slaughtered like some of the
like ice thing, and her family was there. I forgot her family came to visit because they hadn't like seen her since they thought that she was dead.
Oh yeah, and they had a short fight because she was just done with them.
Yeah.
Or was that in book 7? No, it wasn't books. Oh yeah. It starts with the aftermath of Mirrorsight. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Oh man, it starts with that aftermath of Mirrorsight because she is still missing Kate and she is still moaning after him, and she has like this little patient with people, and then the family comes in and is all over her, and she flips at that point. Yeah, I remember. Which is good to see that even in a great family like that, you can have situations where you're just like, leave me alone. You're annoying right now. Yes, I remember that. And then Stevik had a good conversation with her. Yeah. And then that snowstorm came in.
I believe that this is also when she becomes a sword master.
Yep. That was actually a really interesting and very important, at least I think, given what's happening going forward. And given, I mean, we don't know what's happening in book 8, but that the room where you lose your magical abilities and where you then actually train, like that they pull her into the room with magical abilities so she can't use them while she's fighting with the other Black Shields to get her sword master. I can't even pronounce this word. Sword master stuff. Yes. Yeah. That was actually a pretty cool scene, I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, those fight scenes, she writes them really good, especially all those training scenes and whatnot.
Yeah, because normally that's like one of my least favorite things to read about in general, and in these I definitely don't mind them.
Yeah, no, she does that very well. It's very interesting. So yeah, yet another title for her. Swordmaster Initiative. Yes, that is happening too. Right. Well, and then the announcement with the babies, obviously. I mean, we knew that Estora was having babies in Mirrorsight already, but that was a big topic too, because that was for Kerrigan. I was like, I can't deal with this. Kate is gone, and now I have to deal with all of this pregnancy crap here and them being married, and she just wants to get away, but she can't. Yeah. That was the beginning too. Yeah, and then at the wall, that the sleeper came through. That was in book 6, right? That the sleeper came through. And then they found Meep.
Yes.
The cats that turn out to be Griffins, they are adorable. I mean, that is just the cutest thing out of all of them.
Yeah.
And I always like every time she literally wrote Meep into the books every time I saw it. I was like, this is so cute.
I love how the audiobook narrator does the sounds for those.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to have a griffin. I mean, dragon, obviously, first of all, but then second would be griffin. They just sound so great.
Yeah.
They would be fun to work with. Yeah. Yeah. And that is like kind of a weird side story that is also not really a side story, but a main story throughout the book as well, which is, yeah, I'm coming back to the main story of this book really is that scene in the forest, that 1 week in the forest.
Yeah.
But all the other story strings were so important too, but they were kind of more, put aside and not really taken care of, and just, oh yeah, by the way, this is also what happens. But now let's get back to the forest.
Yeah.
It's a bit sad. Well, she changed that in Winterlight, but we get there.
I know, I was gonna say, like, was because she was kind of ignoring a lot of the side stuff in Firebrand, is that why she had to do so much in Winterlight?
That could be, yeah, because she realized, just 2 more books, and there are too many things that are not moving forward or haven't been progressing as much as they should have. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, but for Firebrand is a difficult book. Generally, I like it. I liked it with this reread through. I think it was my third time reading Firebrand now. So I'm still liking it, but the more I talk about it, it's like, it's really not a memorable book. It's really weird.
I mean, I guess just that the forest scene really is like what I associate with this book, and I don't want to say I like it, because obviously I don't like that people are getting tortured, but like, I like it. So I think it's interesting, and like all of the different things that happen, I really liked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the relationship between Zach and Kerrigan definitely progresses at the end.
Yes.
In a weird way. Man, I wish they could just stay in the forest, just those two, and everything would be gone. I really feel for them with the whole, because we had a little bit more exploration of Zachary in the sense of how much he likes and not being a king, like that he.
Yeah.
I had one quote that I wrote down out of the book, like, a prison door it was for all that he was a king, like this. That the fact that he's a king doesn't allow him to be who he wants to be, and doesn't allow him to be with the person he loves.
Yeah.
And while, yes, you can say a lot of things about the relationship, and that it is weird that he has a wife and is going after her, even though she keeps saying no and he keeps persisting. Anyway, I like the love story between the two. I understand why others wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like how, like, getting to know Zachary more in this book, because really throughout the whole book you've only seen him, or throughout the whole series you've only seen him like in Sagar City being a king, and this you get to see him like interacting with people not as a king.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because just like seeing little bits of him throughout the rest of the series is kind of like, well, like, why does this relationship mean so much? But then seeing him have other interactions kind of gives more understanding to that.
Yeah, him as a person, right? And what he, like, getting more of his thoughts was what I thought was interesting, especially because we get more chapters with him. We never got chapters just with him, right? That was the first book where we had chapters with him, because when he was with this Lee, it was all his perspective.
Yeah, that's
true. Before that, we never got that. So it was kind of interesting to see who he is, and how determined he is, and how much he loves his country, and all those kind of things.
Yeah. I also like the fact that, like, their first kiss was in this scene, like, because it was just such an emotional, like, moment for both of them, that it just felt like right that it happened then, because they're both so, like, hurt and needing comfort and everything.
Yeah. And that they're throwing caution to the wind, even though they get it back shortly after. I didn't realize, like, when I was thinking before I started reading the book, when I was thinking about it, was like, there's a lot more with the two of them. It ended up being just a really short scene. Where they actually get to spend time with each other. It's like, dang it! Why can't they just not be together? This is ridiculous. Yeah. That was a bit sad. I thought it was more, but it ended up being the smallest amount of time spent with those two, and as they recover after the whole kidnapping stuff and torturing stuff. But yeah, no, the scenes with Zachary were great, and that we get all of his perspective, him with Leslie, and then also him with the prisoners in where Second Empire held them when he was digging up that hole in the mountain and whatnot. Like, to get his perspective and his view on the people that he's responsible for, and yeah, getting to know him as a person was super important, I think, for the continued relationship, and just how much he really, it is borderline stalking is the wrong word, but it's borderline obsession on his side towards Kerrigan, which is kind of, it is a bit weird. I'm still okay. I know in real life that would be a big red flag, but from a story perspective, I'm still okay with it. But it is really borderline of, I'm so obsessed with her and I'm throwing caution against the wind, and all that kind of things. I was like, okay. And his enemies clearly figure it out, because they're
the amount of people that figure out their feelings for each other. It's like Kerrigan is doing a pretty good job of keeping it hidden, but he needs to step it up.
And he's the freaking king of the country, so you really, dude. I mean, on the other hand, he is what, 28, so he's still young.
He might be older than that, I think.
Oh, by that time he might be older. I think he was. They are 10 years apart, right? When she was 18, he was 28. I think that was kind of the rough consensus. So, or it's 27, 28, something like that. Yeah.
I think she's 21 in this one. So.
Okay, so he's 31 then already. Still, he never had a real relationship. What he has with Astora is more practical than love. Yeah. Although sometimes he has a weird thing with her too. So I'm like,
I know.
Do you love her now or not? I'm not quite sure.
I can't tell if he just respects her and enjoys knowing her and being, I guess, a friend to her. But
yeah,
it definitely sometimes is a little bit weird.
Yeah. So yeah, that I think that needs to be clearer going. I mean, it is going forward with Winterlight. It is rather clear which direction this is going. But yeah, that's a bit sad that in Firebrand it was kind of like this mishmash still. And is he now falling for Astora or not? Yeah. Or is he with anyway? But yeah, no, those were good scenes, and I liked his when he's going berserker. I wonder if there's something in it, because she always in Firebrand she described when he goes berserk and all gets into this killing spree. If there's something more to it too, hidden magic everywhere, and all of a sudden things are happening. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm saying this, because we are learning that the and now I'm getting into Winterlight spoilers here, but we're learning that the Black Shields are the search, that they are responsible for magic going away, and the way they're always so cryptic about why are they really there. They're not there to protect the king necessarily, but other things. So now I'm wondering if they're suppressing something on Zachary's side.
That's so interesting. Oh my god. I hadn't thought about it like that before, but that makes so much sense.
We need book 8. Jesus. Yeah. I need to know what it all is. Yeah. Okay, that could be, that's a wild theory. I don't even really have a proof for it, but it just feels like, and the same with Astora and again, now we're getting into Winterlight spoilers again, but with the plan situation, it's like, okay, so there is something magical going on, but not really. So what's actually going on here?
I know. I noticed it the first time and I had kind of forgotten about it, and then I noticed it again. So I was like, if I'm noticing this weird thing with plants in Astora, I hope that's going somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, we'll Winterlight. We'll into that in a second. But we can also move into Winterlight. I'm totally open for that, because again, Firebrand is mostly forest.
I will say the Pedro's, however you say that, and how short that scene was. I don't know. The whole book is supposed to be about finding the Pedro's, and then they find them, and it's 30 seconds later, well, they're on our team.
And they're letting me go, even though they said they don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see how they come together. Like what that is going to be. If they are going to be as cryptic as the I can't think of the name right now. Dang it.
Elysian.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like not Elantris. No. Wrong universe. Yeah. Yeah, for that was being, yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's how it all started, right? We have to find the Pedros to get them on our team because they found that mural or that glass stained couple thingy in the castle that then showed, oh, it's the Pedros that is the other ally. Half moose, half person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting combination too. Yeah, and it was not at all about it. Well, but that's kind of typical Kristen Britain, that it's like, we have to do this big thing, and then everything goes south, and we're forgetting about this big thing.
Yeah.
That feels rather typical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's true. That was kind of a weird encounter at the end of everything. Who was with her? Was it Enver?
I think so. Because Estral had to go back to Celium.
Yes. To get her father with her. Or to bring her father back to Celium.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, and then we get a little bit scene after they walk away from the Pedros, and Enver gets into his weird Ponfar. It's not Ponfar, but you know what it's, whatever this thing is. So he has to leave her. That was also kind of a weird thing to add. I mean, I get it, right? You know, to get a little bit, what's the word for that? To get some tension into the whole Carrie and Zachary story. She's adding another person in there, but that was all weird, I found. They're like the Star Trek people who get once a year, they need to reproduce now and get all aggressive and whatnot. I mean,
yeah. Well, I think they talked about it in Firebrand, but they definitely talked about it in Winterlight, how if the Elysians knew that was coming, and they specifically chose Enver to accompany Kerrigan on this quest, like, what were their intentions in doing that, and like, what do they want from that situation? Which I think is interesting.
Yeah. Well, especially with what happens in Winterlight.
Yeah.
That is the exact opposite of what this might say about them.
Yeah.
So yeah, very confusing. Very confusing. All right, let's move into, because then we can talk about that scene too. Need to just. Whoops! What am I doing here? Sorry. There we go. There we go. Okay, just in case. Yeah, because I mean, they are making her frickin' royalty in Winterlight, yet another title. I was like, okay, so were you trying to kill her with the first one? Were you trying to have Enver? Because you're not a huge fan of Enver already, because he's was Enver the half human, half?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Was he?
I think it was Enver.
I think so.
More a human side to him, but he still had that Elysian side. So they were already not a big fan of him. Was that to get rid of him, or was it to get rid of her? Yeah.
Elysians have been in this series since the first book, and it's like, I feel like we don't understand them any more than we did in the first book to now. Like, they're still so mysterious and like unclear of what they want and what they're trying to do.
And what the end goal is for them. Yeah. I wonder, since she got inspiration, I assume at least, for the Elysians from Lord of the Rings. I want to reread Lord of the Rings in the not too distant future. So I'm curious to see how the elven, whatever, how they are in Lord of the Rings, if they're as cryptic, if she got did they get that from Lord of the Rings or not, but yeah, it is absolutely. I mean, they are super entertaining, and they're like some really interesting aspects, and it's always you think you now know what they are about, just for in the next sentence then to realize like, oh no, she just destroyed everything again, and it's clearly not the case. Yeah. And for her, I mean, with book 7, it becomes even more curious. It was always she is has the light from Laurelin in her or something, or she is favored by Laurelin, or however that was always said. That was the entire series, but now she is named kin of King. It's not Santana, but very close. Was that you who said that it sounds like Santana? Someone said this sounds like Santana.
It might have been Stephanie. But I can't unsee that now.
No. I always have him in my head with the guitar now. Like now she's named kin of him, like daughter of him. I think it was daughter, right? Which makes her princess or something, whatever. And like, what? Where is this coming from? What is happening here?
Yeah.
Why is it just now? Like, why now? Why not? I mean, he met her before, and they had a lot of interactions before. Why now? Well, no, he didn't really meet her before because he was a sleeper till then. But yeah. Why is he waking up now?
Yes, I was just thinking that. Like, why now?
Well, book 8.
Yeah. And like, especially when the breach in the wall first happened, like that seemed like something maybe he could wake up for, but
nope, not important.
Nope.
Oh man, the one thing that I need to figure out at one point, and that's where I would love some sort of family tree or something. I definitely, even after reading it so many times, I don't get through the whole family tree situations with the dimensions, like the whole who's now the daughter of whom and whatnot. It shouldn't be that complicated, but because you're getting so little in every book, I keep forgetting. And then when a scene happens, it's like, wait a second, are they related? There was something, right? But what was it again? So
yeah, I agree. I don't know how any of them are related.
Maybe that is something someone can do, not me. I wouldn't want to do that, but either Kristen herself or there is someone who works with her on making a soundtrack and like Boner and stuff like that. They can create a map of the Elysian family tree, so we get all the relationships together. I would buy that. I would at least look at it and be like,
I am assuming I'm going to reread these when the next one comes out. So maybe when I reread it, I'll keep notes whenever someone is mentioned to be related to someone.
You know, that would be the easy way of doing this.
Just thought of it like back in January, like, oh, we should keep track of that.
Well, the same with all the kings, right? Because we are going, even in Sakarya, we are going so far back into the past every now and then, writing this down of who was always the first rider, or the captain of who was the captain of the Green Riders, who is king, and like that tree of who became king and who was the successor and whatnot. That would be interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so many like historical names.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dang it. I was thinking if book 8 comes out, I might start with Mirror Sight and not at the very beginning again. And that I just read Mirror Sight, Firebrand, Winterlight, and then book 8. But now that you're saying that, I actually like the idea of writing this all up. Maybe I need to start book 1 again. Well, it will take 3-4 years anyway till we get that book.
Yeah.
And then I'll be fine.
Well, maybe even longer now that she's going to do another novella.
I thought she's done with that novella already. It sounded like she's written that already and is just publishing it now for next year.
Yeah, but I don't know if that like cut into her time writing next book at all.
Probably. Yeah, I'm just watching her on like Instagram and whatnot when she is posting snippets of this, and it's not even close to be done. Oh man. Yeah. She cannot fuck this up, seriously.
Yeah, I know.
She needs to make this work. And I still don't know how. I mean, this whole to go back to the relationship, the whole Zachary Kerrigan situation, I don't even know how she could resolve that, even with her now being royalty and that being gone, so he could be with her, but he still has Astora. He still has hairs with Astora.
Yeah. And like even with Astora like giving them permission,
which was super weird. That scene. I mean, I get it. It's royalty. You know, I get this historically correct because that's just how it worked in the Middle Ages. But it was a weird scene. It left a weird aftertaste.
Yeah, because it didn't really feel like she had thought about it. Like we didn't see her come to that decision. Like it was just like, okay, here. Because in the past she had been kind of jealous of Kerrigan. Like there was one time she like hoped she died or something, or like hoped she was hurt, like, and I was like, geez, like that's a little intense. So how did she go from that to being like, okay, you two can be together?
Yeah. And especially in Firebrand, she was in love with Zachary, Astora, that is, right?
Yeah.
She really fell for him and was like, maybe there could be something between us. I know those relationships are functional, but the way he is with me, there could be something, right? And maybe with the children, he'll get closer. And then he has, and I don't know how that is because obviously I've never been a father, right? But when he gets to see his children, he's like all over it and
yes,
he loves them and is so excited about being a father. I was like, but the way it was written, it was always focused on the children. It's like she gave you those children, but you're not considering her. Instead, you continue swooning about Kerrigan and calling her into your tent to talk with her and be with her.
Yes.
It's such a weird like dynamic between all of this.
I know.
And then with Astora, I mean, she realizes it at the very end when Zachary is, and that curse hits Zachary and he's trying to kill Kerrigan and they are then telling each other that they love each other. That's the moment Astora realizes it. And the day later, she tells them, okay, you guys be with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very weird dynamic.
Definitely. Because, like, well, she knew in the past that he had feelings for her.
But yeah, she knew that since Mirrorsight. Yeah.
Since Black Veil, because of that horrible scene.
Oh, was it Black Veil? I thought that was Mirrorsight. That scene.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, whichever. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Where he whispers her name. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a weird relationship. And I don't know how Kristen Britain is going to resolve that. Like,
I know.
You would have to kill off someone, which would be really morbid.
Yeah.
Or that whole plans leaning against Astora is something of she is actually something else.
Yeah. I don't know.
It becomes a plant goddess. I don't know. Which then, magically resolves her from that marriage.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do we resolve this gracefully without being super weird?
I really don't know. Like,
I mean, the question is she even planning to resolve this gracefully, right? Because in Winterlight, we get all these, her future is bad enough. She'll have to deal with all the consequences early enough when it comes to Kerrigan, what the gods are saying to Kerrigan. So I'm wondering, maybe Kerrigan even dies at the end.
I have been thinking that because, like, she's just been through so much. Like, I can't see her just, like, living a normal, like, life after this. I don't know.
Can you imagine her being a lady, like royalty, and being served that? I can't.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I hope that's not the route it goes because I love Kerrigan. But
oh yeah, that would be the worst if after all of this, she just kills her off.
Yeah.
That would be the worst ending. Then I think I would throw out the series and be like, I'm done with you guys. This is it. Like that would be the worst thing she could do, killing her off. I really hope she doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Oh God, even thinking about it makes me all no, this can't happen. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how to resolve this. Are people voting for a new wife for Zachary?
Yeah.
Does he step down from the throne and give it to Astora?
But I was kind of thinking that, like, even though Kerrigan is like royalty now, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. There's so many things that could happen.
Yeah, yeah. This is going to be interesting. Oh my goodness. Book 8 has to be, we're reading it in a day. Closed doors, no one bother us just to figure out what's happening. I really hope that she ends it with book 8. Because she was always so vague with that too. I mean, it was booked as 8 books in the series, but she never really confirmed it that this is what she's doing. So that could be a book 9, a book 10. It's like, nope, we need to know now. Like, this has gone on for way too long.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay. What else in Winterlight? So many things. It was even more apparent this time around. I mean, the first time I really read it in 2 days, so it was a quick read anyway, so it felt quick because of that. But now I took my sweet time, and it was still so much going on. So many random side stories that had 0 point. I don't know what was going on in this book. I mean, it was all over the place.
Like, it just felt like because I made a list of all the things that are like unresolved up until this point, and it's like she didn't address any of those in Winterlight, and even more opened, like even more things came up in Winterlight that we need resolution on. So it's like, what did she do in this book? Like, I don't know. There's just way too much stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. One, she added that big other country and culture into the storyline. It's like, what? Why? Why in book 7? We don't need what? Where is this not coming from? Who are these people? It was not mentioned at all in any of the other books before. This really came out of the blue. There was nothing. I mean, some things were hinted at every now and then here and there.
Yeah.
Like the black shields, are a bit funky, like that kind of piece of it, that was a little bit hinted at if you look very closely at earlier times. But oh yeah, with the staff that she got when she went into Blackvale, that
and I think Murdigan had talked about it too a little bit, and I was like, oh, he like knows that.
Yeah, but that whole new country with the women hating people, did we really need this? Do we really need this? Like, where is this coming from?
And like, even if Kerrigan's father goes over there to get her, like, are they going to show that? Like, are we going to be shown that whole adventure, or just be told, like, yeah, he went back and got her? Like, in either way, it doesn't feel necessary.
Yeah. And I wonder if, now that we talked about 8 books and then that's it, she always said she would write other books in the same universe. So I'm wondering if that is a weird setup that in book 8 we get that told, like, he brought her back in just a short scene and then it's a separate book of his adventures in that world. But even then, I mean, if she makes book 8 about his journey there, I would die.
No,
Mirrorsight was at least about Kerrigan. It was completely away from the main storyline. It was, future blah, blah, blah. But at least it was about Kerrigan being in that world. And then you still got a bunch of stuff around it. But if she would make book 8 about the father and getting Captain Mapstone back, or Lieutenant Mapstone now, and just you get side stories of what happens in Zachary, no. Oh, I would be so annoyed if that would happen. And then, oh, surprise, there's a book 9.
No.
Yeah, I mean, how can you? Unless you write another book like Winterlight with all of these things happening really, really fast. Yeah. And then, well, Second Empire kind of got resolved a little bit. But why did we get the lions all of a sudden? I know they were mentioned before as well. They were part of book 1 till 3 a lot when it came to the history of Blackvale and all that kind of stuff. But why did they not show up? Why did we have to have them? I mean, you could have had a fight scene either way, weapons or no weapons. It was just kind of we need to add something that the weapons could go against so it doesn't feel like overpowered on the side of the kingdom. You could have written that any other way.
I know. And like things like that were just added into this book, but then immediately resolved. Like the Darrow Raiders were pretty much added and resolved. Like there's no reason for that.
Yeah. The worst of all, and I read that again in this book, and I was sitting there like, why? Is the whole story with Ben, where Kerrigan can't sleep, and Ben has all these nightmares. And it's like a really short scene where they're explaining that this is how Ben is doing right now. This is how Kerrigan is doing right now. For then on like 2 pages later to have someone randomly walk into Kerrigan's room. It's like, oh, it's because you woke her up and now you have her dreams. So you need to sync again, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why did we even have this then? There was you could have completely saved that. Yeah, they were, that one. The Moon Priest thing?
Yes. I think that Moon Priest, like, we're going to have to see more of him, I think.
But it adds another storyline.
I know. He seems so sketchy.
Oh, you know what? Maybe Astora gets convinced by him and moves into like a convent type thing, so she can't be married anymore. Maybe that's how she resolves it. Would also not be.
I definitely think that she has something to do with him, or their stories are going to be intertwined a little bit.
Yeah. Well, because he keeps telling her that she is under the spell of the Green Riders and all of that magic, and she needs to get away from it.
Yeah.
Because they are messing with her. So, yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
Another thing is those like lizard things in the White World. Those like
the wraths.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if they're lizards, but they seem like lizards.
Might as well. Lizards.
But I was like, for them to be like, they had traveled through the White World a couple other times and never mentioned them.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're this huge threat, and then that got resolved also. It's like,
yeah. And then they are the huge threat all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the White World is a big traveling mechanisms in this book, and it's, as you said, how like she has been in the White World 5 times at least in the whole series before. Nothing ever happened. But if her magic is so sweet to them, why now?
Yes.
Yeah, that whole story. And then, speaking of White World, they went into bridges into other worlds and universes. Like, what the hell is this now?
I know. There was one that they were in like a tower, I think, and she saw, I think, the book that Estrel is writing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so does that mean that's the future, or does Estrel's book somehow get to a different world? Like,
because there were books with other languages and other like weird things she didn't know. Yeah. And then there was another one where she was in the desert with 3 moons or whatever it was. I don't know, 3 suns. I don't, clearly something that was not this world they're on. It's like, okay, I get that her ability lets her move through time. Great. And interact with ghosts. Great. I'll totally get the whole time travel situation. But now we're adding multiverse to it.
Yes.
How are you going to resolve this? So now you're saying, oh yeah, this is just one tiny, like Men in Black, one tiny marble in a big thing of a lot of marbles. And you can jump between, or the White World is the connector between all these marbles. It's like, why?
Yeah.
And you're making the world we're in bigger. And you're adding a bunch of hints of her being royalty, King Santana waking up, like all of these things. And like, no. And we still have Mournhaven to deal with. We still have whatever the Pirate King, Sea King. We still have to deal with him and the dragon. I don't know.
Yeah.
This book, Winterlight, has now officially become my least favorite, by the way.
Oh, wow.
I love the Green Rider series. I really do. And I subjectively give them all 5 stars. But if I would have to actually rank it, this is actually more a 3-star read because it is so confused. There's no clear, this is how we resolve things. She just randomly resolves some things here, but then adds as many, if not double, as more on the other end. And it's just, I would have loved if it would have been a bit slower. It was just way too fast, way too many things happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it felt a little bit distracted. Not a little.
I agree. I definitely enjoyed it more the second time I read it, just because I was like ready for just everything and anything to happen. But yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, I would have loved if they just would have taken out some side stories, just some of them, that didn't, like, take out the lions, take out that weird dream Ben situation, take out some of the stuff at the beginning where she's in that shed forever.
Yeah, she's like captured, and then there's the eagles and like Megan and her special ability, and then that keep they have to retake, and it's just like too much.
Yeah, take out some of that and then focus more on the actual, because I loved the actual scene of the fight between Second Empire and Zacharia and, you know, King Zachariah's army. I actually liked that whole piece, but it was so short. I would have loved to have more of this strategic, what are we doing with them? And, you know, the, oh my God, we need to get to it. And then it was one quick fight and it was resolved. And the lions, the dangerous lions that are so much stronger than the Black Shields, also were like gone. Yeah, I don't know. With the explanation of, oh, they only were light armor, not metal armor, but whatever, leather or something, which is why they were able to kill them easily. It's like, no. Yeah. That was unfortunate.
Yeah. And in that fight, I thought it was just the way I was picturing it. I thought it was so silly that Zachary would even go in to fight, because he was just surrounded by like rings and rings of like weapons, and it's like, well, why are you even out there if you're just being like totally protected the whole time?
Yeah, the morale, because the king goes into the fight as well. Yeah, and there's so much more that could have been done with that whole situation, and even in the mountains where they were taking that one pass. You know, there's so much more that could have happened there. It felt like they traveled there and then immediately back. There was nothing really that happened over there. Yes, it was a distraction, and I understand it was made so King Zachary goes with his army there, so the city is empty. But it felt like they traveled there and back. Like this is, and in the middle, then one, you know, situation where they showed, okay, everybody now knows that Kerrigan and Zachary have a thing for each other, and people start talking, and Kerrigan gets pulled aside. It's like, by the way, people talk about it, and it's not good, blah, blah, blah. You know, I mean, that was the only purpose of this whole back and forth. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. As I said, it's not this, because it is just because of it being so confused and not really knowing what it is about. That is the reason for me to give it such a low rating.
Yeah.
I mean, low. Again, as I said, I still love the series, but low in the sense that this is now my least favorite book in the series.
Yeah.
So she really has to do some work in book 8.
Yeah. And then there's like the scenes over on the island with Amber Hill and Beryl. And I was like, what is this leading up to? Because, well, I guess we kind of know what it's leading up to, but like, what is the point of seeing all of it? And for Beryl to die, like after her being kind of like someone we've been following for such a long time in the series, like.
Oh, and then using her for pure convenience. I mean, there's a lot of, and I know Andrew pointed that out in book 1 or 2, that there's a lot of convenience things happening at the right time to resolve something. For her then to simply show her as a ghost where that dragonfly device is, whatever it's now called.
Yeah.
That was kind of, how does she know that it's there? Like, how would she, even as a ghost, she didn't get that knowledge on the island. At least we didn't see that she got that knowledge on the island. So how did she know that there's a hidden chamber in the tombs where that thing is, or that shield is? It's like, come on, that's easy now. That's really an easy way of solving this.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I loved Agamon when he completed, like, what is this? This doesn't exist.
But for Kerrigan to find out about the dragonfly device thing in Mirrorsight, and then for them to only just find it at the end of this book, like 2 books later, it's like, okay, that took so long for them to get to it.
Yeah.
And the supposedly super important thing that she went to the future to find out, like, took that long for them to find it.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, I'm sure we will see some because Emberhill and I forgot what his name is. He also has a weird name. That Sea King. They are one person now.
Yeah.
Based on Mirrorsight, One Haven somehow merges with them. So I'm curious to see if we get to see that in book 8. How those 3 of them get together.
Though in Firebrand, I did notice the moment that you can tell when the Sea King kind of takes over. Like he's Amberhill is on the boat and he's like saying that he's like doesn't like the motion of the boat and he's kind of like seasick, and then suddenly he's like,
I'm fine.
We're on the water, and it's like it's all good. And it's like, oh, that's when he takes over.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if she does something with the ring, because she was so focused. Was it in book 3 or 4, where Emberhill got that ring?
I think it was 3, because I was shocked about dragons in this book. Because I was like, now there's suddenly dragons. And then when we were going through and rereading, I think it was book 3 that he got the dragon ring, and I was like, oh my god. And like the Berry sisters were telling him about how dragons used to be this thing, and I was like, it was there. I just forgot about it and was suddenly shocked by the appearance of dragons, even though like multiple people mentioned that there have been dragons. So.
I mean, to be fair, again, right, there's a lot of stuff happening, and she crams a lot of little things somewhere hidden, like side notes, kind of, just for them 3 books later, like, ta-da, now it's a big thing. Like, that's what I set up with it. Yeah. No, but I'm curious to see how that works out, because he got ready, right? At the end of book 7, he got ready to move over. Like, he was pretty much done with that, prep.
He like built a boat or something, or had it repaired.
Yeah. Or he starts the repair work with whatever the little guy's name is. I forgot. But pirate from the bottle.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. That there's just so much. There's the Sea King story, Mornhaven, now that island, King Zachary and Kerrigan, Astora with her plan stuff, the Moon Priest.
Let me look at my list. Oh, there's also Lala.
Oh yeah, Lala is gone. Or is she the second voice now in Kerrigan's head? That annoyed me too in Winterlight now, I have to say. I got it in Firebrand that Nissa was implanted in her head and that she continued, that it was like a PSD type of situation with Nissa. But then she had the second Kerrigan in her, and that would happen right after Lala disappeared. I was like, come on, 2 people in Kerrigan's head? Really? It's like, are you running out of ideas? This feels just Yeah. That was a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, also the horse sex scene.
Oh god. So uncomfortable.
Like, what? Why did we need to see that?
Yeah. Could you have just pulled out of that scene? I mean, no pun intended. Could you just go into black way before this happened? It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so awkward. Yeah, and the god scene, similar. I'm like, okay, what's going on with the gods now all of a sudden? Because they have never been a big appearance either. I mean, except for Vestron and Birdman. Oh, the Birdman is Vestron. Oh, Salvatar is the horse. Except for Salvatar and Vestron, there was not a lot of involvement of the gods, and all of a sudden they're standing there, and she sees them easily. It's like, it's too easy, you know? And for her then not to remember, but to remember.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so many things that just happened. I had to look at my notes too real quick for Winterlight.
And there's also Anna. Like, I feel like she has just been getting so much like page time since, was it only in, she was only introduced in Firebrand, but I feel like she's like becoming like a pretty big character. So I'm like, where is her story gonna like lead to?
Yeah.
I feel like she needs to have some sort of big role in the ending.
Yeah. I'm just looking at so many things that happened. Darrow Raiders, weapons, Moon Priest, Blackwell waking up again, the Sea Kings, Elysians, what are they up to? We met gods, a new godlike horse that is now pregnant. Everything with question marks. Lala, is she the one who Kerrigan said? The short glimpse on Kate's ancestors. Oh yeah, that thing was also super. Like, how would she know that was Kate's whatever great father?
That bothered me so much because she never even got like confirmation of that. Like, he just looked like him, and she at one point says like, "Oh, that's what's his name, Ren." That's Ren Harlow, and it's like, well, how do you even know that? Because you didn't confirm that was like what his name was, and also the fact that she was protecting him and not his kids. I was like, his kids are his closer ancestors, so you should be protecting them, not him.
You know what I'm just remembering? Wasn't there a Harlow cleaning the mural in the castle? When she came back from Mirrorside, there were people cleaning the Pedro stuff. Wasn't that Harlow?
What was her name? It was a Goodgrave.
Oh, was it a Goodgrave that was cleaning?
So.
Okay, that was the Goodgraves that were cleaning that. Okay, never mind. Because otherwise, that would have been weird. You then have them twice. Yeah, you're right. Goodgraves that were doing that. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Okay, what did oh yeah, Elton.
Yes.
What happened? Like, is he dead now?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either, but that was also all weird.
Yeah. And like, I was thinking about like Alton throughout this series. Like, we've just been checking in with him at the wall for books and books and books. And it's like, I mean, I'm tired for him. Like, like, he's just been sitting there, like, monitoring this wall for, like, 5 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Dealing with Murdigan.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that new Murdigan. What was his name? Was it Murdigan's son? Duncan? Yeah, Duncan. That all of a sudden popped up, too.
Yes.
Flirting with all the ladies and being all sassy.
Yeah.
That's another magician. Okay, put him in the tower that doesn't have anyone. Just put the tombstone in there, and then he can take care of that.
Yeah.
Oh, the Eagles were great, though.
Yes, they were.
But again, it was kind of like why do we have this story in here? It felt kind of pointless. It's more convenience than anything else. But I like it. I have to say, I do. But then again, it's big eagles with griffins, dragons, like all of a sudden all this stuff pops up and it just feels like she's trying to cramp everything into that story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting what book 8 brings. Oh my goodness. I'm a bit worried.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Also the fact that Zachary's curse like was resolved so fast, like it's like, okay, when grandmother like cursed him in Firebrand, it seemed like this big like ominous thing, and then it was like, well, now he's trying to kill Kerrigan, but he's okay now. Like, did you need that?
It was just like thrown in. I was like, oh yeah, but I forgot that I need to resolve this too, and then just thrown it at the end. Yeah, and I found it kind of weird that it was if it was the trigger of I'm killing the person that I love most. Why did it trigger with the babies? And why didn't it trigger when he got the little pictures of the babies? I mean, I understand that a picture of a baby is different than the actual baby, but
also I feel like that curse is a little bit too unspecific. Like, if you want him to kill someone, like either the babies or Astora, like tell the curse to tell him to kill the babies or Astora, not the person he loves most.
Yeah. Although I think was a grandmother or someone knew that Zachary, like in Firebrand during the torture scene, didn't they realize that he actually has a thing for Kerrigan? Wasn't there something with they kind of knew? So maybe that's why. I don't know.
But then, like, I don't, unless she just wanted revenge on Kerrigan, but like, a little bit petty for her.
Oh, the one thing going back to Firebrand that I'm now realizing too that was also resolved way too easy is how grandmother died.
Yes.
Like all of a sudden, dead. Oh. Yeah. Not her best book. She's a good. I love how she writes. I mean, this Winterlight scene where we from the cover. That scene gets me to tears. Like Mirror Side and this one scene, tears, because it's so powerful. And I wish there would have been more of that kind of stuff. You know, like those more powerful scenes versus wishy-washy and getting things rid of quickly and cramping in more side stories and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because like I think that's one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. Like it's just so good, but I didn't even remember it because I was just been so annoyed about everything else in this book that I can't remember one of my favorite scenes. Like,
because there's just so much to like. You're going through so much in the series, and also I love that she. I mean, it's awful for Kerrigan, but I love that she explored this whole PTSD conversation with because I mean it was terrible what was done to her by Nyssa, and then that she kept having Nyssa in her head. I feel that was resolved way easy too. That Nyssa all of a sudden was gone. All of a sudden she had the power to tell Nyssa go away. The power to tell Nyssa to go away. It's like, come on, it's such an important thing to do, and it's so important to work through that properly and not just be able to within minutes to say, okay, I'm done now. Now I'm really done. Now I'm really at my last, I'm at my wit's end. So now I'm capable of pulling in that power that I was trying to pull in forever ago.
Yeah.
And now it works. It's just sad. Like there's so much more she could have done with it.
Yeah.
Although we would have wanted another a full book of her moping. But I think there's things that she could have done really, really well. And the glimpses that we got where Nyssa messed with her and she completely lost it, like in the wild world when Nyssa messed with her mind. But then also at the same time, Nyssa helped her getting out of the white world and helped her waking up. I thought that was so well done.
Yeah.
And just gets lost in this chaos as this book.
Another thing about the white world that hit me kind of hard was when she does kind of get captured by those like wraiths and she gets to see what her life would have been like.
Oh my god, yes.
That part like kills me because it's like she has been through so much in these books and like it's sad.
Yeah. And then she has that echo of that memory still in her head afterwards.
Yeah.
A little bit. Again, it's kind of brushed off a little bit. Yeah. The book is full of really powerful things. It's getting lost.
Yeah.
That's the really sad part of it. So. Oh man. Talking about a roller coaster of emotions in a book. I'm really going through everything, but all right. Are we forgetting anything?
I feel like I know there's probably so many things in there that just got lost.
So after now rereading everything again, what's your ranking for the books? What's your favorite? What's your least favorite?
Favorite is Mirror Sight. Second favorite I think is Firebrand.
Okay.
And I'm trying to look at the books behind me on the screen, so I'm like trying to think of which one is. I always do. I can't remember if I like First Writer's Call or High King's Tomb because there's one of them that I like and one of them that I don't like as much. Then maybe Green Rider. Then maybe now Winterlight is at the bottom. So So Green Rider, then High King's Tomb and First Rider's Call, and then Black Veil and Winterlight at the bottom.
Oh wow, you like Black Veil so little? Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay. Oh, because of that scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and other things, but yeah, a lot of that scene.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, Parasite. I'm absolutely with you. I think that is a brilliant book, and it's just so well written, and I just love that idea. I think just because of this book mainly, it's why I love the series so much, because she throws in other things to a otherwise rather typical fantasy storyline. Second favorite. I mean, I like the first book a lot just because it's so entertaining, and it's one of the best series starters that I've read, because I like how she gets you into the series, like that she starts very small and then slowly introduces a lot of things.
Yeah.
And book one is just fun and adventure. That's why I love that one so much. I would have to think between Black Veil and Firebrand. I like both of them for different reasons, but that would be 3 and 4. I don't know. I don't quite know which way around. And then First Rider's Call, and then High King's Tombs, and then Winterlight. High King Tombs was my least favorite before Winterlight, because it's just so slow and it's really just world building. And I'm like, okay, come on, let's just move forward now. Let's have some action again. But yeah, Winterlight and High King's Tomb are my least favorite in the series. I think. I like Black Veil because the forest is just so nasty, and it's
I wish that we got to see more of the forest in that book, because it felt like it took so long for them to get there, and I was just like, I want to see more.
Yeah, it's always like the first half of the book is kind of a lot of repetition and setting the scene, and then the second half, now we're getting somewhere. Yeah. If I would reread the whole thing, I would definitely do a lot more on audio. I mean, I've done this time a lot on audio already, but like the first half, just plain on audio, just to get all the repetition out of it. That's the only thing that is a bit not frustrating, but just something to keep in mind, I guess. It's not great as a binge read, because you get so much repetition. And even in book 6 and 7, there are things again explained on this is who they are, and in book blah 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 they did this and this and that. Like, I know, I just read it. It's like, come on, let's move forward. Which is good if you think that. I mean, if you're, she published them 5 years apart from each other, so you don't have to reread them to start with your next book. But if you want to reread them, it gets really annoying at one point.
Yeah, it's like, on one hand, I really appreciate that, because I'm definitely someone who does not remember. Like, even like 2 weeks after I read a book, I'm like, what even happened in that book? So, like, I appreciate the recap, but when I've now read a lot of these books 3 times, it's like, I don't need to hear it again.
Yeah, but honestly, how many people are as nuts as we are and we're reading it all the time? True. Yeah. Anyway. Alrighty. I think we covered a lot. Thanks for the talk. That was needed. Now we can let it rest, and now I feel better about Winterlight again too. I mean, it's still a mess, but I feel better to have that off my chest. Anything else that we need to cover?
I don't think so. I think that's all I have in my notes.
I appreciate that you have notes. I'm winging it today, so I'm glad that we could bounce off of your notes. Awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you for joining all the live streams. I really appreciated talking with you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And also thank you for joining the read along. That was a lot of fun to do that together for such a long series. I mean, at least one person stayed with me till the end.
It's been really cool to see what everyone thinks of it, and like different opinions and everything.
Yeah, and I'm excited that we have a couple new fans of the series. I mean, there were a couple that didn't like it as much, but that's fine, and a couple that are really loving it now. So I'm excited to have more Green Rider friends to talk with about the book. Yeah. No, thanks for joining on all of this. And I'm sure we talk more about Green Rider at one point. So
yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, then, thanks. If anyone watches the recording of this whole thing, it stays up, right? So if you stayed till the end, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the books. Definitely let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with some of our opinions about book 6 and 7, Firebrand and Winterlight, in the Green Rider series. And then we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.